The Saints have just wrapped up practice number 8 of training camp. We are inside the Saints indoor facility. Practice started here, and then it moved outside. That's the new plan. You do about an hour inside, an hour outside. They want to get the heat. They want the work of the heat, and they want what it takes to muscle through the heat, but they also want to get enough work done, so part of it's inside. All right, practice a little sluggish today. We'll talk about that in a minute. We had 2 pieces of breaking news this morning. One, the Saints announced at 8 a.m. this morning that Cam Jordan has signed a 2-year contract extension, meaning one of the 2 greatest defensive players in Saints history will play 3 more seasons in New Orleans. We'll get to him in a second. The other piece, Dennis Allen's talking at the podium as he does every day, and we see Alvin Kamara on the side. He has not talked to the media in New Orleans since the incident in Las Vegas 18, 19 months ago, and Kamara walked to the podium. He addressed the issue. He addressed his meeting with Roger Goodell. He talked about it. He said he wasn't going to answer some questions about it, and then he did. And then he talked a lot about football. Just a couple of highlights from what Kamara said. He said he executed poor judgment. He made a bad decision. He was completely wrong in this incident, and he takes responsibility. By the way, I'm Doug Mouton. This is Ricardo LeCompte. Kamara taking responsibility was something that seemed like it needed to happen.
Yeah, I think it was shocking that you would see somebody in that situation be so forthcoming to talk, especially after he just had a meeting with Roger Goodell. When he got onto the podium, he was very contrite in what he was saying, taking full responsibility for this incident that's been occurring, for the last 2 years in terms of trying all these legal issues and then trying to clear this hurdle. I asked him about, did Roger Goodell give you a timeline in terms of where you're going to hear a suspension? He does not know when that's going to happen. He didn't have any insight into that. But to see your star player who's been in this situation take full responsibility, take ownership for everything that is done, certainly that's good news. And it also helps your case when you're trying to get at the least amount of time you have to miss on the field. That certainly does help when you go in front of the NFL commissioner, and I feel like that was the same type of case he presented to Roger Goodell when he was up there. Of course, obviously he didn't tell us what he was talking, what conversations he had with Roger Goodell, but he's doing all the right necessary steps to show that he is contrite in what with everything that's gone on, and B, that he didn't want this to be a distraction for this team moving into the season, even though this will be a distraction because you will miss one of your best players on the field for who knows how much time.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And a couple of points in what Kamara said. One, he praised the Saints organization from Gail Benson on down for how much they have stuck with him through this. And look, if you know Alvin Kamara, if you've been a Saints fan for a while, he's been a great citizen of New Orleans. He has done a ton of meaningful charity work in New Orleans. This was one incident that, again, he owned and took responsibility for, but I do think Alvin Kamara is such an impressive person to listen to. He's so engaging, and I do think what we heard was probably the same message that he gave Roger Goodell. He said he wanted to talk to Roger Goodell first and before he talked to us. So he said it was sort of a weight off his shoulders. He said he's lost a lot in this, both from a monetary standpoint and friends. He said he feels the weight of the incident. You could tell. He said it's been difficult, but like you said, he also said now he feels a little bit of the weight coming off. He's talking about it. The legal part is past him. The only part that's left is an NFL suspension, which we do expect to come, but you have to believe Kamara helped himself by going to New York.
That's what you would like to believe. And certainly when you list all the things in terms of he's never been in trouble before.
He didn't hurt himself.
He didn't hurt himself going to meet with the NFL commissioner to at least plead your case saying, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. I take ownership. I'm not blaming anybody in my group. I'm not blaming the situation of the victim. I'm not. It was basically like, look, I'm taking ownership of everything. That certainly does help your case. We asked Kamara afterwards, would this incident distract your team? If you miss the regular season, what's going to be the how your team would handle that? And he feels very confident that this team will be able to make up for the loss of Kamara in terms of the running back room, in terms of this offense. He understands that. He knows that. But again, it's just good to see, again, your star taking the onus to go up to the mic and be like, hey, you know what, I'm going to address this now. And that was the thing. This is why it's such a shock to us, because he actually wanted to do this. Because most guys would just be like, cool, like I met, like let's wait until after everything is settled or whatever. No, he told us, and one of the first lines, he's like, I wanted to get this, off my chest. I want to start talking about this and get ahead of it. And certainly when you want somebody to do that. You don't want someone to kind of hide with the situation, because the questions are going to come. We all want to know this. Fans want to know this. the fact that he wants to be out front in this is a good sign.
Yeah, and Kamara has always been great with the media. He said he missed talking to us. All right, I do want to get to Cam Jordan now. Cam Jordan signs a 2-year contract extension, just my opinion here, but in the history of the Saints, my dad was an original Saints season ticket holder. I've been going since 1969. If you talk about the greatest offensive player in Saints history, it's Drew Brees, and there's no argument. The greatest defensive player in Saints history, I think there's 2 guys, and you can argue all you want. One of them is Ricky Jackson, and one of them is Cam Jordan. Adam Ney getting a shot of Ricky Jackson on the wall at the indoor facility. You got 2 guys you can choose from. Cam Jordan, the book isn't written yet because Cam Jordan's got 3 more seasons in New Orleans. He's the career sack leader. He's played 192 games in his incredible 12-year career so far. He has missed 2 games. So his best ability is his availability. He's been to 8 Pro Bowls, more than any other defensive player in Saints history. He was the member of the NFL's all-decade team for the 2010s. He has been, and you talk about a guy who's done everything right off the field, in the community, raising his family here. He had 4 children and his dad and his wife with him at today's press conference, and it was awesome to see. Cam Jordan's been a joy, in my personal opinion, been a joy to deal with for my 12 years doing this job.
Yeah, I got here in 2017, and I think every year Cam Jordan is one of those guys where immediately, just because of his personality and how infectious he is, just that gregarious personality that he has, it's hard not to root for a guy like that, and it makes it very easy to cover somebody who's willing to just have that personality and to talk to. And I think my takeaway is that he wants to be a Saint. He wanted to, speak year 15 into existence. Now he'll get the opportunity to do that. But B, he didn't want to go anywhere else. He wanted to finish his career here. He wanted to be a lifelong Saints person since 2011 to now, and now he's going to get that opportunity if he can get to year 15. And one question he got was, all right, so now that you're going to get to year 15, where do you see that sack total going to be? And he goes, well, how many sacks will it take to get this team to a Super Bowl?
Yeah, right.
Like, that's still his aspirations. He's still team oriented in terms of he still's got plenty left in the tank, but he also wants to get this team to a Super Bowl, and that's the ultimate goal for him.
And what I found really interesting, Dennis Allen came to the podium, and I asked him about Cam, and he said he believes that right this minute, Cam Jordan is the best combination, pass rusher, run stuffing, defensive end, the best combo defensive end in the NFL right now. Not was hitting the end of his career, playing less snaps, but that right now in year 13, he is the best in the NFL, and you can make that case.
Yeah, he can defend the run, he can rush the passer, and I like how DA said, who you need to thank for that? Cam Jordan's mom and dad.
Yeah,
genetically,
right.
like the fact that you can only miss 2 games, and one of the games he missed was because of a COVID year, but the availability, the ability that he has and shows on the field,
and the work ethic,
to put all that in. You marry all 3 of those things, you have to not only talk about Cam Jordan being one of the best Saints of all time, but
he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame conversation.
He is a Pro Football Hall of Famer.
With 3 years to go, at least.
With at least 3 years.
Okay, well, I do want to talk a little bit about what we saw in practice today, which was ugly. The offense was better indoors.
Yes.
When we went outside and hit the sun, the offense was not great.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're this deep into camp and you have to start inside here, which, like, the climate's great in here, then go outside into that almost feels like 100-degree weather.
Oh,
yeah. 7-on-7s were great in here. One of the takeaways was that little wheel route that I saw in 7-on-7s that Alvin Kamara got from Derek Carr. When Alvin Kamara was actually talking about football, that's where he's looking forward to in terms of utilizing more in the pass game. His passing game numbers have dropped the last couple of seasons. It feels like the Saints want to actively get him more involved back into the passing game this season. I thought that was key to kind of see that, and I thought Jameis Winston had a better day. He was 4 for 4 here in the 7-on-7s, and actually when he went outside, him and Lynn Bowden had a nice little connection. The Kentucky guy, number 84, I think, again, I'd still kind of shuffling when you're kind of looking at the 53s. He kind of plays a role similar to what Kirk Merritt does. Now, I still think Kirk Merritt is ahead of him on that, but Lynn Bowden has kind of shown flashes in these 3 days with camp that he could play that role.
Yeah, next week we're going to be talking about guys to watch in the preseason games. Lynn Bowden is a guy who has put himself in the conversation to maybe make this team, and that's impressive. Kirk Merritt from Destrehan has obviously put himself in that conversation again, and I think no matter what, he stays on the practice squad. Defense dominated. Pete Werner made a huge play. You had Carl Granderson with a sack. We had some plays, but I would say overall one of the more sluggish outdoors.
Yeah, I think they're going to step it up when they go into pads tomorrow.
Yes.
I think we'll see a little bit more intensity, but certainly it was one of those days where when you're splitting inside-outside, players have to adjust to that.
Yeah, okay, so the pads go on. The Saints will practice Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's 3 more practices. The next break comes Tuesday. That's a look at practice number 8 from the Saints facility in Metairie.